Hi, I'm Lucy from Sew Essential. Today I'm going to show you how to sew a stitch in the ditch. So a stitch in the ditch is when you place the stitches in a seam that's already been sewn, and this is used commonly in quilting, but it's also used all the time in dressmaking too. You might use it to secure a waistband in place, or you might use it to secure a facing in place along a shoulder seam, for example. It can be a tricky technique and there are quite a few pitfalls, so I'm going to show you step by step how to do it, but I'm going to give you my top tips to get great results every time too. I'll show you how you can do it with a standard presser foot and also how to use a specific stitch in the ditch foot. Everything I talk about today is available on our website. You'll find links to all the products I mentioned below, and you'll also find a link to our weekly newsletter for a healthy dose of sewing inspiration straight to your inbox. Let's get started now with the tutorial. So I'm going to show you how to sew a stitch in the ditch, and I'm going to show you two different feet. Firstly, I'm going to show you a standard presser foot because you can use a standard presser foot to do this sewing technique. I'm using a clear one, and I do think they're a really good investment if you can get them for your machine because they just give you great visibility when you're doing tasks like this. But I'm also going to show you with a stitch in the ditch foot. This is a clear stitch in the ditch foot, and then you can get metal stitch in the ditch feet too. All of these feet are Husqvarna, and I'm using my Husqvarna Brilliant 75Q sewing machine. I'll link all of it below for you, but we do stock these feet for a wide range of brands and models of machine. Brother, Janome and Pfaff, they're all on our website. We've got them all really clearly marked to help you choose the right one for your machine. So I'm going to pop the links below for you to the relevant parts of the website. If you need any help, don't hesitate to contact us. But I'm going to just talk you through one of my top tips for stitching in the ditch first, and then we'll get started. So very often when you're stitching in the ditch, you're sewing a waistband, and you will have your waist seam sewn like so, and then your waistband, it might be in one piece or two pieces, but there'll be some coming over that seam on the wrong side. Now on a lot of patterns, rather than overlocking the edge of the fabric, they'll tell you to press it under, press the raw edge of the fabric under, and then stitch in the ditch and secure that from the wrong side. But the issue there is often that there isn't very much fabric to cover that seam, and you have to sew a stitch in the ditch from the top side so that you can place the stitches in the seam. And then what can happen is that you don't quite catch the fabric, and you can get to the end of a really long seam and you've tried really hard and you've placed those stitches beautifully, but there's places where you haven't caught that fabric, and that can be so annoying. So my top tip for waistbands when you're stitching in the ditch is to overlock or overcasting stitch the edge of the fabric like so, and then that gives you extra depth and it gives you a lot more coverage of that seam and means that you're going to catch that fabric when you sew your stitch in the ditch. The other advantage is it reduces the amount of bulk in your dressmaking, and reducing bulk is always a positive thing in dressmaking, or more often than not. So yeah, that's one of my top tips. But then we'll just turn it over and take it to the machine. Now, the aim of the game is to place the stitches in the seam. So you want your needle to be going in between the two pieces of fabric and stitching in that seam. So what I would do is position the needle, turn the hand wheel and get the needle exactly where you need it to get started. And if you've got a fixed stitch rather than a reverse stitch on your machine, can be known as a lock stitch, but it's a stitch where it sews a few stitches on the spot to secure the stitching rather than doing a reverse stitch. It's a good idea to use one of those. So we'll just get that locked in. And then when you sew the stitch in the ditch, gently pull the fabric apart, and that will enable you to place your stitches more accurately in the ditch. Take your time, go slowly if you need to, and also if you do have a machine with the needle up down facility, then select for the needle to finish in the down position, because then you can stop as you sew along the seam. You can stop, you can raise your foot if you need to, you can check the position of the stitches, all in the safe in the knowledge that the needle is holding the fabric in place for you. So I'm going to go ahead now and sew that stitch in the ditch. The other tip is you can use the marking on the front of your foot. That's telling you where the needle's going to be placed. So if you line that up with the seam, your stitches should go in the ditch. And you can see there those stitches are beautifully placed in the ditch, so they're not visible at all. It just looks like a lovely smooth neat seam. And then on the back you can see we've caught the fabric as well, so everything's nice and neat and secure. Now I'm going to show you how to use the stitch in the ditch foot. So it's really simple. Instead of using a marking on the front of the foot, you've got a metal piece jutting out, and you just position that in the ditch. So if I put my fabric there, you can see I can just position that metal guide in the ditch, and then it just makes it even easier to place those stitches. So I'm going to do the same thing again and just turn the hand wheel to get the needle in the right position in the first place, and then I can lower my foot, and it just makes it even easier than using the marking on the front of your foot. If you're somebody who struggles with this task, this might be really helpful for you. And as I said, we stock these feet for a wide range of makes and model of machine on our site. We've made it really easy to find the compatible one for your machine as well. But if you need any help choosing, just give us a shout. I'll pop links below for you, but let's go ahead and sew that stitch in the ditch now. So you can see there again, beautifully placed stitches, totally invisible to the naked eye. And then we've caught the fabric on the back as well. So yeah, beautiful, neat stitch in the ditch. So I hope you've enjoyed that today and you're feeling confident to go ahead and stitch in the ditch. As I mentioned in the video, we stock a really wide range of sewing machines, sewing machine feet and accessories on our website, so do check out the links below. Don't hesitate to contact us if you need any help. We are here to solve your sewing dramas. If you like what you see today, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.